First of all, the availability, obviously, of clergy makes a difference. And we will be seeing that in the United States in the very near future as more and more parishes are emerging due to lack of priest establishment. As far as the sacrament itself is concerned, I think the Church has made an attempt to help people to appreciate the value of the sacrament in their lives and to make it as, in computer talk, you might put it, user-friendly as possible. So that any fear parts, it used to be hell and brimstone, and that was the Church's view all the time. Sin and go to hell, so, but against confession and, make sure all's well with the world. And I think it's a much more merciful God that we're presenting to people today. And yet the sacrament of reconciliation is still there. And, with all of the psychology and everything that man is knowing today, they're recognizing that the Church has had something that society in general has been looking for, but doesn't have. And that is a way for people to find peace of mind. And when you can get outside of yourself, what's bothering you inside, you feel better. And so I think the sacrament of reconciliation is a wonderful gift of God that allows us to do that, to recognize God's mercy, God's love, and to know that no matter what it is we did, it's okay. You can be sorry and you can start again. So that essence of the sacrament, I think, has always been there. How people use it, you don't get the preaching, you got to go every week kind of thing. There was a time when people thought you couldn't receive the sacrament of the Eucharist if you hadn't been in confession like the day before. Clearly that is not the case today. People realize that the more frequently you can receive the Eucharist, the better, and the less you'll need reconciliation of a formal kind. I think that it can be getting lost, and that would really be a tragedy, because all of society is looking for what our sacrament presents us with, and I think that opportunity for peace of mind and forgiveness and reconciliation. So what do you think about all that?
We can cut it out.
Okay, so I'm sorry. All right, so how the sacrament has changed over the centuries, that the fundamental understanding of it has not changed, the understanding of the forgiveness of sins, maybe the instrument of the priest, but how people went has changed. In the early church, people would not go very frequently, that there was one time, sometimes theologians believed that you could only go once. So many people wait till near the end of their life to go. One dynamic that has changed a lot is the penance. A lot of times in the early church, penance was done publicly. And so what had happened, though, over time is sometimes when people would see someone doing a public penance, they could start to figure out what other people's sins were. So the private penances has been something that has been done later in time. Kind of wisdom pointed out that's the way it should go about. People still always had to confess their sins. Sometimes people said that in history people had to confess them publicly, but that's not really true. But there were public penance services, which we got away from, and recently is kind of going back to doing the penance services. A lot of times we do at Lent or Advent, as we do here at the school. But some of the other things that have changed or developed over time, it's just sometimes the catechesis on it. Sometimes people in the past were catechized how to go, but maybe not how to make a good examination of conscience beforehand and really prepare well, how to approach it in a very prayerful way. I think also sometimes the advice that priests gave, sometimes in the past, it was done using what's called manuals. There were books that said, if a person confesses this is the advice to give. And in a way, sometimes it didn't factor in maybe some of the emotional or psychological things people were experiencing. So I think more recent development in the sacrament of reconciliation has tried to bring in more for the priest in guiding the people how to be very attentive to their conscience, how to help try to form it, what would be sound advice to try to give, just trying to help that person give them that sense of hope, advise them spiritually and psychologically, some of the steps to try to go forward with in their life so that they can all the more experience God's grace in a very powerful way.